out. Well, basically what happened is that the gators come to places like this, you know, the waters are a little bit deeper over here. And what they do, you don't see them right now, but at the edge of the water, right underneath the water, there's a couple of little caves. You don't see them right now because the water levels are too high. There are a couple of little caves, and those are made by the alligators. And what they do is that they make them and they hide in there. They hibernate, you know, they just call it that way. And they wait for the deer and the raccoon to come drink some water. And when they see it, they jump out and grab them by the neck. And that's how they survive, by hiding in the caves and ambushing their prey. These animals are ambush predators, meaning that they wait for the food to come to them, okay? You will never see an alligator or a crocodile chasing someone. That, my friends, only happens in the movies. Yellow lilies, and all of these are very common in the Everglades. The yellow lilies are so important because some of the turtles will eat the petals, and that's how they survive. Also, in the middle of the flowers, there's a couple of little bugs every once in a while, and some of the birds land on top of the lily pads, and they eat the bugs from the flower. But guys, let me tell you, be careful. Because some of the flowers in here, if you grab them and you squeeze them in your hands, they will release a little bit of oil. And if you lick the oil off your hands, you will start hallucinating. How do I know that?
Sweet.
Don't worry about it. I just... On behalf of Everglade Safari Park and myself, would like to thank you for coming out. It was definitely my pleasure being your driver, and I really hope you enjoyed the ride and enjoy the rest of your day. I would like to remind you that if you did enjoy the ride, don't forget about the guide, as the boat captains do work for gratuities. Also, after this ride, everybody's gonna go to an alligator show, which is already included. After the show, they'll give you the chance to hold and take a picture with a baby alligator. But ladies, if you do not want to hold a baby gator, you can hold it for free. Have a nice day, everybody.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
I saw some kind of like blackberries, but they were really big and just single.
Oh yeah, the cocoa plums. They were on a tree, like that tree right there with the round leaves. But that's called the cocoa plum tree, and it produces the little blackberry, and it tastes pretty good. You know, you can actually survive out here by eating that fruit. If you see it, you can try it. You know, it tastes really good.
Oh.
Guys, as you can see, alligators do come out of the water, and yes, they do walk around the park. So if you go to the park, to the back of the park, you see a statue of an alligator. We don't have it. Those are real ones. Stay on the sidewalk, take pictures.
How I think me?
People, a little bit about some of the animals that can be found out here in the Everglades, whether they be native or not. What I have got here is a very common snake in the pet trade. Somebody here may very well know what this is. This is a Colombian boa. Now, in case you are curious why I've got one in the show, it's because this is a good example of something that can be found out here that should not be. This would be called an invasive species. Now, it is not the #1 problem, although they are a problem. The #1 problem is the infamous Burmese python. The reason that this guy is not as much of a problem is because of the size factor. A big Colombian boa is going to be about 3 or 4 meters long. That's about 9 to 12 foot. Most people find a snake that size manageable. They can either keep it themselves or rehome it fairly easily. The Burmese python can get upwards of 5 or 6 meters long. That's close to 18 feet. Just to give you guys an idea of how big that is, this pole is about 15 feet or almost 5 meters. Snake that size is eating things like deer, dogs, kids. People typically don't want to deal with that, so they release them. Unfortunately for us here in Miami, our environment is such that just about anything short of a polar bear can live down here. We have all types of non-native animals running loose throughout South Florida. Now, this particular snake is non-venomous. In other words, even if it does happen to bite you, it is going to simply sting, and that is it. No venom. It's a constrictor. They wrap around their prey, crush it, suffocate it, whatever the case may be, and goes on with their day. So folks, a really cool animal that has been absolutely ruined through TV and society. It's an animal that simply exists to maintain the balance. Unfortunately, since they're not from here, they're doing the opposite. Nonetheless, a really cool critter. Any questions? Anything you'd like to know about this guy before I jump in with the alligators? All right, I'm glad I covered everything. All right, folks, I'm going to put this guy away. I'm going to jump in there, try and show you some cool stuff in just a moment, and I'll be right back.